We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Tuesday, and today we have Will with us. And I'm glad Will's back because he and I seem to be thinking the same thing.
hmm
You just said it to me before we went on, and I agree completely. Tell me what you were thinking.
I'm just thinking that I think everyone needs to get a pep talk.
Yeah.
Now there are days. I mean, I've said it's like ridiculous, but I've been watching the last few days, this weekend, and it is not good for them. They are flipping out. This is all desperation, from the ICE stuff to um, Trump and tariffs. Oh my God, he backed up on the Iranian deal. I want to talk about that. That's dangerous and just cowardly as it normally is for him. And I think he is there. I mean, robot Biden, my God. Um, but see, you're starting to see desperate cracks. Stephen Miller freaking out on his ICE chiefs today.
Yeah.
Probably still pissed off because his wife is playing,
Who knows?
lunch meat. He's playing the horizontal bop with Elon Musk. I saw that
Yeah.
bit. Hi,
Yeah.
Steven. You might want to get some hair. Might help you,
Stephen
Uber for your.
Stephen Cuck Miller.
Yeah,
Um,
man. And you got
well,
done by Elon Musk. You got done by Elon Musk.
who just failed
Um,
miserably. Well,
yeah.
you're absolutely right. There are people out there that are scaring people with regards to Medicare and
Oh
with the big
God, yeah.
beautiful bill and all the stuff going on. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of stuff to worry about.
hmm
But I talk to some people, and something that frustrates me more than anything is that there's not going to be any elections in
Yeah.
2026. They're just going to take this all the way to 2028, and Donald Trump will get reelected again. They're looking at all the worst possible situations, and they love to wallow in that shit. And it's bothersome to me because, as you say, when you look at what's going on with the Republicans or even right wing people around the country, let me start out with the first one that I don't know that's gotten a lot of attention here in this country, but we know Russia and Ukraine are going at it. They're in a war.
yeah. Oh.
Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin want people to believe that they're just going to roll over the top of Ukraine, and that's why Donald Trump wants Zelensky to cave in to Vladimir Putin. Well, of course, Zelensky doesn't want to do that. That would be fucking stupid to do it. And the Russians have been bombing the piss out of Kyiv, trying to taunt Donald Trump. Donald Trump says it would have never happened if I was president. So now
hmm
he tells them to stop, and the guy just ramps it up more. So you tell me how much respect Vladimir Putin has for him. But then we have this drone raid put on by Ukraine. They take out 41 bombers deep inside Russia.
Oh, it
They
was
just
beautiful.
took and that 41 bombers amounts to about 33% of their whole force.
Right.
That's
And the
significant.
Russians can't afford to do that. They're strapped as it is. Um, it, I saw videos of it. I mean, it was planned for a year. Probably the only person that knew about it was Joe Biden, but he ain't going to say
Yeah.
anything. And
Yeah.
the old Biden administration, they didn't tell Trump they were pulling it off because they know better. And I saw the videos of it, and it was ducks on a pond.
Yeah.
They were just hammering them. And the Russians went total Soviet. This is not real. It's fake news. No, actually, those aren't our aircraft. We don't use those aircraft. They were in maintenance. You know, just absolutely denial. Dude, you got your ass handed to you during negotiations, and the Ukrainians went in and said, "Now we're done." Walked out again. You see, they don't get it. The Russians don't get it. They thought Donald Trump was going to save everything. What they didn't count on, and I'm going to say this to over and over again, Joe Biden left a solid base with NATO in Europe.
Yeah. Yeah.
He left them set. He plowed all the roads for them, knowing that if Trump did this, he could turn to Germany. He literally told the Germans, look, we're not talking about the past, we're talking about the present. And if you're part of the world, you need to help. Same thing with the French, same things with the Scandinavian countries. And now they're trying. Now the other thing, the Soviets are trying to Soviets. We might as well say the Soviets, because that's what Putin is. It's a fucking
Yeah.
old Soviet. Is trying to spin it now. Well, they couldn't have done it their own because they're not smart enough. So NATO had to have help. So do you want
Yeah.
to blame NATO and do what? What are you going to do?
Yeah. You're going to go after
What
NATO altogether?
What are you
Go
going to
ahead,
do?
do that.
Yeah. The only bad news we have out of Europe is that the right wing party in Poland did win the election,
I
barely,
heard that.
but
Yeah.
won the election. And that's not good because it doesn't take much to fuck that up. But I don't know how long the Polish would cater to the Russians. Poles aren't
I
built
don't think
that
they
way.
would.
And if they start
No.
like throwing out Ukrainians or something, that's not going to work well. But we'll see how that plays out. They didn't get a
You know,
majority. They got barely won that election.
the thing about the Russians, though, what I think is really exposed here is, we thought they had the second best army in the world. They go up against Ukraine. They're going to win in 3 days. It's now going on 4 years. So they don't really have that strong an army. They lost 750,000 troops in this whole process. They've lost all kinds of equipment, but they always had that whole card. Well, we got the nuclear weapons. And I've always said these people don't have a lot of money. They have a lot of arrogance, but they don't have a lot of common
Right.
sense. So who's to say that they have maintained these nuclear weapons? Not to say we should test them, but when Ukraine can go on and take out 1/3 of their bombers, that not only affects the war with Ukraine, but it also affects their ability in terms of
Mm.
nuclear warfare. A
Right.
third of their fucking planes are down. So
Right.
so who knows what else will happen? But the funniest thing I saw, and I don't even know how to. Well, I can explain it. I don't know what it means. Um, you would assume Soviets or Russians would have security on these important planes, right?
Yes.
Well, clearly they didn't have any security. But when they saw video footage of these planes, they all the planes had tires placed all over them, as if that was some kind of security
Yep.
thing. I don't know what the fuck that means, but they literally had planes with tires laying on them, assuming that would be some kind of security. Now, how much can we believe in the technological ability or the military ability of a nation who guards its planes with fucking used tires? That's
I mean,
crazy.
for Putin, who was a KGB boss, they planned this thing for a year.
Yeah.
That means that because all this happened on Russian territory, they didn't send in drones from Ukraine.
No.
There were people on the ground in Russia controlling these drones and did this. Your intelligence failure was huge, huge intelligence failure. And also, the Ukrainians are real good at low tech stuff. I believe about a year ago, they literally took like Cessnas and just tricked them out to be radio controlled and used them as bombs.
Wow.
Regular Cessnas. They just did that with low tech. The thing about the Ukrainians, the difference that we're seeing right now in this, let's say, the Russian army has no tactics. The
Yeah.
Russian army has the old tactics of we're just going to use a whole bunch of bodies. That's old
Right.
Stalin thing. They have no NCOs. They have no non-coms. They don't. Everything is officer down, officer down. The Ukrainians, before all this shit happened, trained with American troops for small combat and small unit tactics. That's why they can't beat them. They're trained for small unit tactics. They're trained to be aggressive on the ground. They're trained to make their own decisions, and it's made a difference. Also, we gave them a lot of equipment, but they use it well. And that's the thing. The Russians can't get by it. And by the way, the Ukrainians are still holding Russian territory,
Right.
whether you believe it or not. So the negotiations is, why should we surrender? You're our bitch right now.
Right.
We
Exactly.
don't have to surrender. I mean, the only choice you have is to literally scorch earth Ukraine. But you don't want that because you want the land. So make up your mind. And now you just, I mean, they're just the proposals have been, well, just keep what we have. No, Ukrainians do not want you to keep what you have. They don't
Yeah.
trust you because they know you'll start again, and they also want to stick it to you. So it's a disaster. It's a horrible disaster for Russia because it's not working out.
Well, here's the
It's not
thing.
working out.
You got Vladimir Putin wanting to take back or take all this stuff from Ukraine, Zelensky not wanting to give it away for obvious reasons. Donald Trump tells Vladimir Putin that he doesn't seem like he uh, wants peace, but he's going to give him 2 weeks, which is like flipping somebody
Oh
off
my
because he
God,
always says two
whatever.
weeks and nothing happens. So now, in the midst of this 2 weeks, we have Vladimir Putin bombing the shit out of Kyiv and places all over Ukraine. Then Ukraine comes back and takes out a third of their bombers. I don't think this is a good starting point for any negotiation for peace at
No,
this point. That's not going to happen.
and it's summer, so there's going to be troop movement.
Yeah.
There's going to be battles. I mean, they're going to do as much as they can before the rains come and the winter comes. I mean, that's how you fight in that area in Europe. Look, it's a disaster. And if you want to top on top of that disaster, let's talk about every day now with Trump is Taco Day. Let's be
Taco
honest.
day.
Taco Day.
Absolutely.
And what's the latest taco today? Okay, as I said in a video recently, just a few hours ago, the biggest thing they had during the elections, they kept screaming about these Iranian negotiations that
Yeah.
Obama did and Biden did. Oh no, we're going to do a better negotiation. First administration, they didn't do shit. It was the same thing. All right. The Iranians didn't take them seriously. Biden comes out and puts the screws to them again. They're not letting them enrich uranium. Why don't you don't want the Iranians rich in uranium? I don't know, because they want to make a bomb. Also, the Israelis get a little touchy about that shit. I
Yeah.
remember maybe I don't know, it was the 80s, the late 70s, early 80s. They made a breeder reactor. They started a breeder reactor. What's a breeder reactor? It creates the rods that you can use to turn into enriched uranium to make plutonium that makes bombs.
Right.
The Israelis bombed the shit out of it. They didn't care. It wasn't done. It wasn't nuclear. They bombed it out of existence. Okay, as a warning. If the Iranian, and this is not, and Netanyahu, when he decided to quit trying to kill every Palestinian on the planet, found out about this. Yeah, the deal they're proposing is letting the Iranians enrich some plutonium for civilian use.
Yeah. Right. We
Civilian
could trust
use.
them for that.
Right. No. And as soon as that came out, that negotiator said it, Marco Rubio, backed off, said, no, no, we're not doing that. Fuck you. You guys fuck with everything because Trump can't he can't understand what that's going on. He can't leave it alone because it doesn't have a stamp on it. But his stamp
Right.
is disgusting. And if you let that go, it's on. Because let me put it this way, the Israelis will pause and deal with that in a way that could set off everything. So for someone who is supposed to stop all wars, fucking doing a good job of setting up wars,
But
that's
talk.
so narrow thinking
You talk
from these
about
guys.
Israel. You
Mhm.
talk about Israel, and I've said this before, and I'm speculating, but Benjamin Netanyahu, the situation he's basically a mini Trump.
Mhm.
If this war ends, then he potentially goes to jail and gets kicked out of his position. There was an Israeli official, a former Israeli official, came out today and said Benjamin Netanyahu wants this war to continue forever
Yes.
because that's the only way he can assure his safety.
Yeah.
And if Benjamin Netanyahu wants it to go on forever, unless you put some pressure on him, like Biden was doing,
Uh,
he's going to let it go on forever. And this is why
right.
Donald Trump will never get that situation resolved.
And let's be honest. I want to be honest on both sides. Okay. Hamas started this.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Hamas started this with that October massacre. Okay. Years ago, during the PLO days, Yasser Arafat days. Every time they got close to a negotiated peace, the Palestinians would do something to ruin it. Someone
Yeah.
said that I don't know what it was, a diplomatic point, that every time they came close to coming with a solution that would help both the Palestinians and the Israelis, the Palestinians would do something to ruin it. And that's the truth. Face it. You don't like it? Sorry. You guys always did this because you could not let go of the hate of Israel and the Jewish culture, which brings us to what happened in Boulder
Yeah.
yesterday. That was horrendous. Okay, the so-called Zionist that this guy did were just protesters reminding people that Hamas is still holding hostages.
Right.
That's what they're saying. The hostages are still there. We still have people being held, and the Israelis aren't doing anything. The Palestinians aren't doing anything. And then you went in and start setting people on fire. And now, not only is he a Palestinian, or actually he was an Egyptian,
Yeah.
he's
He was Egyptian.
undocumented. And he was here on an H-2B visa that expired. And now they're going to come unglued. Which
Yeah.
brings me back again. Your actions have consequences. And you dumbass Palestinians, now say it, you don't like it, come find me. You had an opportunity to end all this. But you got on your high fucking horses and you thought you were smarter than the rest of the room. And now you're going to pay the price. Because trust me, they're going to ramp that up on all Palestinian protests. They're going to ramp that out on anyone who's got an eye wrong on their visas. They're coming
Let,
for you, and you did it to yourselves.
let me clarify something if I understand you properly. When you say the
Mhm.
Palestinians could have stopped this, I'm assuming you're talking about electing Joe Biden as opposed
Yeah,
to Donald
voted. Let
Trump.
me back up. Not talking
And
about the war.
we're not talking about
Not talking
just
about the war.
Palestinians. We're talking
No.
progressive left. We're talking
Right.
about a lot of people. I mean, be honest with you, if I'm looking at that Gaza war, uh, of you got Israel, fine people. Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal. Hamas is a terrorist organization.
Right.
I think the vast majority of Palestinians are just caught in the middle, and they're kind of they're kind of victims here because
Yes.
when Hamas is not beating them up, Israel was beating them up
Right.
because of that strip of land. So when you're talking about you could have got this finished or at least controlled, you're talking
Controlled.
about when they allowed Donald Trump to be elected president.
Right. And it just became, and it was, you have no, part of it is you have no foreign service anymore. They
Well,
gutted the
no,
foreign service. All right. Because if you're not loyal to Trump, you're worthless to him, whether or not you're competent or not. That's all they care about.
right?
Um, and so you have no foreign service. Marco Rubio's a joke. He's
He
trying, I
is.
think he's trying to do it, but he has no one understanding, what the ground troops do. See, again, this is in, this is incompetence and ignorance of how government works. Because you have experts in there that do a lot of the work for you. Politicians slide in, but you depend on those people to do the grunt work. And then if you have policies, they adapt what you want to the grunt work. But you guys never get it because you have made all federal employees evil. That's why we're kind of fucked right now. The whole Doge thing, which is a total failure, it's ridiculous. Again, you people, you voters, starting with the Palestinians and the far left, were so narrow-minded. You didn't see the trees for the forest, and you're fucked. You're totally fucked. There's nothing you can do. The Israelis have said they're going to clean that place out. They are openly
And
talking about
occupy
genocide and
and
occupy it.
occupy.
All the things you said that Joe Biden was doing, which he was not, because he wasn't directly, he was trying to rein in that guy and fight off the far right Jewish um, vote. Also, is happening because of your lack of vision. And again, Reverend Warnock, Senator Warnock here had a town meeting, and he had two of those idiots stand up and start calling him a baby killer. Really? I saw that in
Yeah.
another Democrat. You people, have no concept of what's going on in reality, and you're paying the price. And then you cry. Why doesn't anyone care? Why isn't anyone helping you? We can't help you when you have the powers that be are looking to destroy you.
Yeah.
You didn't see it. And bottom line it, because you couldn't vote for a black lady for president. Period. In discussion. And that goes back to the Democrats. If I hear, and I think Rick Wilson made a good comment today, he is sick and tired of these so called Democratic consultants trying to talk to men so they
Yeah.
stop being Trump supporters. He's saying, fuck that. No, it's not that world anymore. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
hearing rumors that Gavin Newsom's going to run as a Republican for president. He's fucking turned his coat. He's a
Yeah.
he's I mean, he is all about himself. We don't need that bullshit anymore.
Well, hell,
Tired of that bullshit.
John
John
Fetterman
Fetterman's,
is
I
praising
think, is
Donald
his.
Trump for pulling out of the Iran thing or doing whatever with the
He
Iran
praised
thing.
him for that.
Yeah, he praised him for that, and he praised him for moving the uh, was it the embassy from Jerusalem or to Jerusalem from Tel
That
Aviv
was
or
in the
whatever.
first administration. That was a
Right.
disaster.
Yeah. So
Tel Aviv.
John Fetterman is mentally unstable.
Right.
He's totally different than what people elected him for. I wish there was a recall for him because he should be recalled. I mean, this guy, you know, you were talking earlier about Marco Rubio being a joke. Here's the thing: it doesn't matter who's running these departments because they have no power. They have no power. Everything is micromanaged by Donald Trump, and he makes the decisions. And if he doesn't like the decision you made, you change it to do what he wants. So
Right.
it doesn't matter who's running these departments. Donald Trump, in effect, is running these departments very badly because he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking
Well,
about.
incompetency. They changed the FEMA director, right?
Yeah,
The old FEMA director was fired because he said on Capitol Hill he doesn't think FEMA should be eliminated. Oh, that's not what you want to say. But the new FEMA director, apparently, when asked about what are you going to do about hurricane, are you preparing for hurricane season?
yeah.
His statement was, "What do you mean? We have a hurricane season? Hi,
Wow, wow.
wow, welcome to the." I mean, that's what we're dealing with. That you have Stephen Miller arriving in the White House this morning, yelling at his ICE chiefs. One because he got by Elon Musk. God, that must just really just chafe the Uberführer. But he's screaming at the ICE agent, why are the numbers not up? Why aren't you at, and he said this, why aren't you at Home Depot and 7-Eleven looking for people? And
Yeah,
the ICE people starting to push back and go, I thought we're looking for criminals. Isn't that what Tom Holman's saying? The president?
that's what they said
No,
all along.
they're just looking for bodies.
They're
They want to make
taking
a point.
waitresses from pancake houses. They're taking students from band. They're not
Yep.
taking criminals out. They're grabbing anybody because they want numbers. And they aren't doing well on the numbers because you
No.
know what? Obama deported more people than he has.
And it's not even about that. Even those people had process. There's no process. They're actually
Yeah.
holding people. Reports about that immigration facility in Florida is getting worse and worse. But you don't have anyone to investigate because we don't have a Department of Justice anymore. Not one that's
Yeah.
real. Um,
Well,
and
well
but the
I'm
thing about
curious.
go ahead.
What you said they named a new FEMA uh, head, right?
Mhm.
But we've got all these states that need help, and FEMA's not sending them help. So what's the point of having a lead to organization that isn't doing anything?
I mean, he denied North Carolina the cleanup funds that they were promised by Biden.
Arkansas and
He
Kentucky
basically,
too.
Kentucky, go fuck yourself. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the thing. They want the states to handle it. No, there are things that we are one country. We're supposed to be looking out for one another. That's the problem with you all people. It's all about divide and conquer. You're going back to states' rights. Yeah, we fought that war. It failed. Now we're supposed to look out for one another. That's part of the deal of being a federal government, of one government of many parts. But
You
no, man, where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the FEMA money? Where's the
Yeah,
FEMA
where's it
money?
going?
Well, I
If
mean,
you're
again,
if you're
yeah,
cutting the money, you need to send it back to me
yeah,
because it's
where's
my
the money?
tax money.
Where's the money? And it gets in well, since we're on the subject of ICE, ICE is not going after hard targets. You saw what that act in San Diego was, right?
Yeah.
You show up unmarked vehicles. Again, here's the thing. If you guys are so proud of what you fucking do, wear a uniform with ICE on it. Wear your badges. Wear your uniform properly. Show your face. Go in there and say, we have authority. If you're so proud of it, why the fuck you showed up unmarked vehicles? Why the
Right.
fuck do you show up with your with not really standard police garb? And why are you covering your fucking faces? You know why? Because there will going to be a reckoning when this is over. There will
Don't you
be
think we're getting
Nuremberg
close to that?
trials. Say again?
Well, we heard about the pushback in San Diego. Don't you
Oh
think we're
yeah,
getting close
people were
to
pissed.
actually
That,
actually violence in the streets?
yeah, people were pissed. That's San Diego. San Diego loves tourism. That's an
Yeah.
Italian restaurant, and you roll in and arrest the entire staff, and then figure out who's illegal and not. And then people are going, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" And you're throwing flashbangs at people who are coming towards you because why? Because you're pussies.
Yeah.
You're fucking weak.
Yeah.
That simple as that. There's a video of a lady trying to they're arresting someone and go, your ice, they don't even really have ice, their face is covered. And she's going, did you have a warrant? Why are you arresting him? Why is your face covered? Why is your face covered? And the guy goes, because I'm looking out for my safety. Why? You know, well, that means you're ashamed. He goes, no, I'm proud of what you're doing. Then why don't you show your face? Why don't you show your face? You don't want to show your face because there is a reckoning that's going to happen. You guys don't get it. In centuries of totalitarian governments and empires, they always fall. And when they
Absolutely.
fall, those of you who supported those regimes pay the fucking price. That's why you hide your faces. You hide
Well,
your faces because you think you're going to get away with it. And I will tell you, eventually, I may not see it, you may not see it, but you people will be dragged in front of courts. You people will pay the price. I'm sorry. That shit always comes back to get you. Nothing lasts.
well,
Sorry. That's the
the
truth.
intimidation still continues. They sent people into Jerry Nadler's offices in New York,
That was
Representative Jerry
those
Nadler.
two
That's
dudes.
fucking crazy.
That was crazy. They were looking for rioters. No, you were just looking to terrorize two women, you pussies.
And
You're
intimidate
pussies.
Congress.
Yeah. I didn't see a man in there. I mean, Jared Nadler's not going to be intimidated. You didn't
No.
arrest him. You arrested a poor woman who's just saying, I mean, why? Because you're fucking pussies and you're cruel animals. And you will
Yeah.
pay a price too for that. Just because you're there's another video of a guy arresting someone who doesn't in a court, he's not even dressed as an ICE agent. Looks like some kind of fucking hillbilly from Kentucky saying he's a federal agent. She goes, prove
Which is
it.
probably who he
Show
is.
me. Because why is because do you have a warrant? I don't need one. I'm a federal agent. Really? When did that fucking start? And the point is, we know it's wrong, and they're doing it, but you have to understand, all these little soft targets is desperation.
It is
Let's see it
desperation
what it is.
because they are absolutely failing. But I'm wondering when we have something like this happen in a conceal and carry state, a stand your ground state, and some guy in a black suit with his face covered tries to grab your wife or your kid or your grandmother or whatever. When's it going to happen when somebody pulls out the gun and says, fuck you, I'm standing my ground? You didn't tell me you were anything official,
Mhm.
so boom, you're fucking dead. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that happen. People are getting scared and people are getting angry.
No, people are getting angry. I mean, the kid you're talking about, the high school kid that was picked up
Right.
for no reason other than they could. I mean, students are not happy. School's not happy. They're starting to push back. There's a video of one guy said, "Hey, ICE showed up, tried to take a family in, and the entire neighborhood said, get the fuck out." They ran. They know that they're hitting. They know that resistance is dangerous for them,
Yeah.
and unless they're willing to go in firing and starting to kill a whole bunch of people, then they don't want it. That's why you see these soft targets, the immigration courts, which is bullshit because you're interfering with their due process. Hi, I mean, it's out of control. We know that. But I will say this to the one creator I ran across on TikTok saying, we're in a dictatorship. No, motherfucker, we are not in a dictatorship.
Not yet.
We're not there yet. I'm sorry. We have an out of control government that's doing stuff to a lot of people, but we are not at that point. That
We
is
could be headed
bullshit.
that way. Yeah, we're not at that point. You know, if I watch like Tom Horman go on to these media outlets and they ask him questions and he gets all worked up and he talks loud and he talks long and they just let him go. If I could sit down across from Tom Horman or Donald Trump and say, listen, you want to deport immigrants, the criminals, the gang members, the ones from the insane asylum, all those people. I get you want to get rid of the bad people in this country and get them sent back to their home country. That's fine. Why is it then you are deporting waitresses who are mothers from waffle houses, kids from high schools, some woman who's a student walking down the street? Is it because you're afraid of the gang members? Is it
Yep.
because you can't handle the gang members?
Mm-hmm.
Because these aren't the people you told us you were going to ship out. But but yet you're going after them. It sounds to me like you're fucking failing the job. You're not even doing the job you said you were going to fucking do.
Yeah. I mean, in all of it, again, everyone take a deep breath. We're only what? How many months? 7 months into this shit? 7 months?
Oh, not no, yes, not
November,
even 6 months, 5 months,
si-
5.5 months.
5 months in. Yeah, 5 months in. Yeah, 6 months would be on the 20th. Okay. Look, it is a mess. And he did in less than 6 months. They butchered the federal government. But you see, the thing about it, there'll be consequences.
Oh,
The
definitely.
consequences are coming. Um, I mean, weather reporting, that's a mess. More people are going to lose their homes and stuff, and the federal government's are going to show up. Eventually, people are going to start to question and get pissed about it. The mass media can go hide where they want. No one's listening to you. Gee, I heard Jake Tapper's show is down by what, 51%?
Yeah.
He's getting hammered. He can't even. I don't think you're going to have a book tour, Jake. How'd that work for you?
If you do, it's
Okay.
not going to be fun.
Just like Chuck Schumer didn't have his fucking book tour.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, people are not dumb. They're asleep, but you keep fucking with them and you're waking them up. They don't like it. And the biggest thing, I'm hearing a lot of MAGA people, that whole we're going to give everyone's information to Peter Thiel, who is a weird ass. I don't even know what to call him, a fascist. He is weird. I mean, he's
It's
almost
just
like
weird. Yeah.
thinking he's a god. I've read some of
Yeah.
his stuff. It's fucking bizarre. But they want to give to his company. It's called Planeteer.
Right.
Planeteer, Plantir, is from Lord of the Rings. That's one of the seeing storms stones
Is it really?
that yes, it is. I mean, I read that and I go, the planet, that's that seeing stone that you see in the movie to see
Wow.
all, affect all. Because the point is, if you give him what he wants, there's a great there's a great series of books by Jeffrey Deaver, the Lick and Rhyme series. Great series of books, mysteries. But there's one called The Broken Window, where this guy was able to get into a data vault and is able to manipulate people's data. He was so good at it. He had one guy who was just to mess with him, had him lose everything, foreclose on his house for no reason, all through the computer. He was like going, I don't, what? It was a mess. He literally, to keep the police off him, had a police investigation through the computer started by the NYPD for things the officer wasn't involved in. The point is, once you get into that data vaults, they can do anything to you. If they figure you're a threat, you can lose your home, you can lose your job, you can lose your credit rating. They could close your bank account. You guys don't get it. And all of a sudden they heard that, and Maga, who's not into that shit, is starting to go,
No.
no. But this is what Doge did, was that they fleshed out all that information, and now Trump and them want to turn over the Project 2025 people want to turn it over to him. If someone doesn't file a lawsuit on that, that's bullshit. They're not kidding. That man is insane. Peter Thiel is crazy. He's a fucking Bond villain. I swear to God. If you read his readings, it scares you the hell out of you. That has not even standard authoritarianism. It is the weirdest ass shit. And they want to give him that information. Why? Because he gave Trump some money. It all comes down to how you greasing the wheel for that fat fuck. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, but Donald Trump's friendships never last. Elon Musk is a good example. He's on the road out, and he took Stephen Miller's wife with him. Good riddance
That's
to all you
hilarious.
motherfuckers.
That
That
is
is hilarious.
hilarious.
You know what? I heard the rumor was that Elon Musk got in a tussle with Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury,
Oh Jesus!
and
Did they slap fight?
well, that's why he got the black eye, as they say. But
Oh
somebody else
really?
is, yeah. But somebody else came out and said, "Listen, it wasn't Scott Bessent. It was," and this makes more sense. It was Stephen Miller, and he's got it on
Yeah, I saw
his.
the picture.
It's on his right
Yeah,
eye, right?
right.
He said, and he said, "I'm not saying. I'm just saying that Stephen Miller is a left-hander." So that would mean if he was going to take a swing, it would have hit him right here.
Dear
I think it's
God,
the whole thing is hilarious. He tells us his
it's a
kid gave it to him.
it's a
Jesus,
reality fucking show. We
well,
are
it's silly.
in it. We are in a reality show running the government, and no one's in charge.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
all performative. And the problem is, and I use the term lethal cosplay, the problem is they got power and they're using it.
Yeah.
And that's an
Well,
issue.
you made a point when we started out that there's a lot of people out there doom and gloom. Oh, this bad thing's
Oh God,
happening, that
yeah.
bad thing's happening. But you make a good point. As you look at the Republican side, the Donald Trump cabinet, the Trump administration in general, uh, they got a lot of problems right now. Things
You
aren't
think?
going well. Yeah, I mean, we know that Donald Trump freaks out enough where he decides he's going to retruth that Joe Biden was assassinated or executed, and now it's a robot or
He was a clone
a
of
clone.
clones.
And here's the thing I don't understand is he's talking about Joe's prostate cancer. First thing through, he says, "Well, we feel sorry for him. Melania and I are doing this, this, and this." And yesterday he says, "Well, I don't feel sorry for him. He's a vicious man. I don't feel sorry for him having prostate cancer." So he believes he has prostate cancer, but he also believes he's a fucking robot. Please tell me how that fucking squares.
I mean, Grandpa needs to be fed his oatmeal every morning because he's
Yeah.
just not there anymore. Um, I mean, that's just part of his processing because I think part of the things too, when he hears things, now let's face it, that taco thing is in his fucking head.
Oh,
And
yeah.
MAGA is trying to spin it that this is what the liberals did. No, brother, your allies did that. Your finance bros know weakness. They smell it. That's how they survive in that Wall Street jungle. And when you're weak, they will take advantage of you and mock you. That's why they call you that.
When you
And
start taking money out of their pocket, you're not going to
no,
be their friend. You
and
know,
they don't like it.
I've said this before. Let's see if you agree. Of all the things that happened to Donald Trump, the convictions, the rape charges, the exposures in court, the exposures on the media, of all the things he's ever done, I personally think the single most damaging thing to happen to him was when that woman, that reporter in that press conference, told him that Wall Street thinks he's a chicken because he is a
Oh
malignant
God, yes.
narcissist. When you start to impugn his masculinity or his power or his intelligence, and you do it on a national platform, that fucking killed him. I guarantee you, he's still angry about that,
Oh,
and he's going to
he's
do
gonna be.
everything.
Yeah, he is. And I think Rick Wilson made a good comment in one of his short videos. Is that what you see every day with Trump through all the bluster, all the bullshit, is fear.
Absolutely.
He is afraid of people knowing who he really is. I mean, this this man is afraid of losing it all. And that makes him run. I mean, that's the one thing people ask: why did Nixon do what he did? Because Nixon was afraid of losing it all. He couldn't trust what was going on, and he couldn't trust his own people. Hence Watergate. It was stupid. It was ignorant. It was not necessary. He was going to
Yeah.
win that election regardless, but
Yeah.
he couldn't let it go because of his fear, his paranoia. Trump is a walking fear machine. You could see it. He's waiting for someone to get after him. And he lashes back because you called him out. You calling Biden vicious, you just called yourself out.
Yeah.
And he also knows people have said, and he hears it, what if it was Donald Trump? How would we feel? We said it the last time we spoke. We're going to pop. We're going to pop
Yeah.
champagne. Thank you, God.
Yeah.
You finally did this. Well, why?
Well,
Because you're a vicious
the
man.
the one thing that you can compare that is similar to Richard Nixon with Donald Trump is the deep, deep, deep insecurity, which leads
Yes.
to paranoia. Um, you got to understand, somebody like Donald Trump does what he does and talks the way he talks as a protection over what he knows are his deficiencies,
Yes.
his failures. And he talks loud and he does these things in order to cover that up. It's like the closeted gay man that tries to act like a alpha male. You know,
Right.
they're trying to cover up what they truly are, and it's terrifying to him. And if we should learn anything at all, what we saw in that press conference when that woman asked that
Mm-hmm.
question, and you saw his face, and you saw he was almost mortally wounded when that was said, and he
Because
didn't
he
know
didn't
what to do
know.
with himself. We need to do this all the fucking time. And I've been
Yeah.
saying this for a long time. We need to embarrass him. We need to make fun of him. Now, I was proud to see that there were a ton of people who decided to use the special powers of AI to enhance that image of Donald Trump as a chicken. And that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't unsee that. Ugh. But he got caught. It was so bad. I remember because, and then the meetings afterwards in the White House, they knew,
Yeah.
they knew, and some people had to fess up to it. They were trying to keep it away from him because they knew what the reaction was.
Oh,
They
yeah.
heard it, they knew it, and they had enough common sense to not tell him what they didn't expect. They're one of their handpicked reporters to ask that question. It sounds like an innocent question. Didn't sound like someone's poking him. I think she really wanted to ask him, "What do you think of that?" Um, and all of a sudden he goes, "What do you mean?" Yeah, dude. And it's not. And again, the MAGA's spinning it like, "Well, leave him alone. You guys started it." No, we didn't start shit. We already told you what he is. We said that up front.
Yeah.
But again, finance bros are cruel. And I love it came from Wall Street. I really love it came from Wall Street because because they know weakness. They sniff it. They know it. And
Yeah.
the problem is with Trump is that, and this goes back to what I think the theme of this show is going to be. For all the things that we see right now, Donald Trump is not Mussolini. He's not Hitler. Okay. For
Yeah.
all his things, Hitler was bright. I'm sorry, truth. Mussolini knew how to manipulate. He wasn't Pinochet. He doesn't have that. He has cruelty, but not that much cruelty. I mean, plug in your warlord there. Okay. Trump is
Right.
none of this because, to an extent, all those people are Franco in Spain.
Yeah.
Held that for a long time. All those people, for all their evil and fascism, competent and clever
Yeah.
and knew how
Yeah.
to manipulate um, and get people to draw people on your side. Understand, the people who supported Mussolini, supported Hitler, the brown shirts, and his version of it, they bought into it. The business, everyone bought into it. Okay, we don't. All of us do not buy into it, and the
Right.
minority that bought into it are not very competent, are not very
No.
smart, and they're
Uh,
using and they keep using religion, and that's catching up with them too. Sorry,
yeah. I've
and
often compared Donald Trump and the Trumplafucks. You know, they want to compare him to Hitler or Mussolini or something like that. But as you say, those people, while they were cruel and they were vicious and they were out of their minds, they did have some competency in what they were doing. By comparison, Donald Trump and the Trumplafucks are the apple dumpling gang, the gang that couldn't shoot straight
right.
because they fuck everything up. I mean, everything they're trying to do is failing. Everything going to the court, it shuts down. Donald Trump got all upset today. He didn't know what to say. He said, "Look, if the courts don't let us put these tariffs intact, uh, the country will fail economically miserably," which is the
No,
exact opposite of what would happen.
I mean, dude, you keep backing away. Now you've got steel tariffs. Okay, they're waiting for him to back on those. The Chinese are basically saying, "Hey, by the way, we're waiting for you. We're
Yeah,
waiting for you. You violated. No, you did. No, you did." And the Chinese go, "Whatever, dude. It's just a matter of time." That's the thing. It's a this. He bought into this bullshit. He's going to keep going with the bullshit. He's got people who believe in the bullshit, and now it's starting to the birds are coming home to roost. I want to say one thing about Joni Ernst. You're going to burn in hell. You're going to burn
and
in
you're
hell.
not going to get reelected.
No. And I'll tell you, the reason is that saying what you said the first time was bad enough. Going to a cemetery and doubling down, and then saying you shouldn't worry about living. You should worry about what's going to happen after you die and embrace Christ. Let me make this clear, woman. Everything you've done and said is not Christ-like.
No,
Everything you guys have said, you're using Christianity as an excuse to hate. Jesus never taught all that. He did not teach that. Sorry. There was a preacher I saw a video of saying that we should follow Trump because he is the word of God. No, he isn't.
oh,
That's the Antichrist. I mean, these
yeah,
guys are deep because they have replaced the true teachings of Christianity with Trump because they hate people
right.
and they hate certain people and they want your control over everything. Fuck. Texas is a lost cause. Okay. These guys have nothing to do in Texas other than come up with stuff that makes no sense. You've heard about their anti social media bill or their anti pornography bill or anti um, pornography bill. So there's one Democratic legislator I see comes up all the time. He questions these guys. And he asked them the question: do you think under your bill that they can ban Romeo and Juliet?
Yeah,
All right. So let's talk about that for a minute. For those of us who do read, Shakespeare, let's be honest, from all the words and everything, he says about sex and violence. Sorry,
Right.
truth.
Yeah.
I mean, Measure for Measure, Romeo and Juliet, Julius Caesar. I mean, you just read it. The Tempest. It's all the words are in your window. It's all about sex and violence in power. Sorry, guys. Betrayal, Macbeth. Come on. And you're trying, and you put it on some kind of Christian standard that, well, yeah, and his remark was, yeah, well, someone objects to it. Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we just go all the way down to Chaucer? Okay,
Yeah.
the Canterbury Tales. Have you read the Canterbury Tales? Oh my
I have
God,
not.
that's porno, dude. That is porno in Middle English. They have all these tales, and a lot of them are about, there's some great tales about heroism, but a lot of them just about common people cheating on each other.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, I had an English teacher who just loved to make fun of that. God rest your soul, Dwayne Hanson, and we were out there, who just basically laid it out for his 14 and 15-year-olds. This is what it's about. Get with it. They're not, he didn't pull punches because that's what they wrote about way back when.
Yeah.
Way back when. And these guys don't have a concept because this is all about controlling what you think and what they want you to think.
You know what the ironic thing is for decades, Republicans have always said, we want smaller government. We want government out of people's lives, except for the fact that we want to make abortion illegal,
Right.
um, do everything you can to for people who wanted smaller government and didn't want them involved in our lives. That's all they're doing now. They're
Right.
making government bigger. They're spending more money in spite of the fact that they said that they would cut funds. They're spending more money and they're controlling more people. If I'm a Republican and I've been listening to this for decades, I go, wait a minute. This isn't my party
No.
anymore.
I mean, the small government, no. They just want, it's all about control. And they want you to do what they want. And it's all dystopian bullshit. And
It
but the
is.
problem is that Americans don't, I mean, some of them buy into it. Yeah. I mean, there's always cults, but
Or just
Americans don't
stupid
like that
people.
shit. Yeah, Americans don't like that shit. No, we don't like to be fucked with. We don't. I mean, that's what you start seeing little by little with the ICE pushes back. People starting to say no, no. I mean, the MAGA people are out there running around. People are just like, fuck you. No, we're tired of
Yeah.
you. We don't want to deal with you anymore. That's the thing. You Trump folks think that you have the upper hand. You don't. You're trying to push. You're trying to push. There's a great video. I love this. The guy's like a MAGA guy. He's in a restaurant. This is like young Hispanic guy, and he starts to fuck with him and his friend. And he goes, "Let's go outside." The guy goes, "Let's do it, man. I've been waiting a long time to do this. Let's go. Let's go. Kids up." I mean, all of a sudden, him and his partner goes, "No, no, 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 dude. You don't want. Hey, you want to go outside? Let's do it." All of a sudden, they don't want to do it. Of course, you don't want to do it because you've been bullies all your life, and people just have been just. We don't want to hear you anymore. Fine, fuck it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And as soon as that happens, you notice how those people back up. You've been seeing that bullshit with that Ray guy on TikTok, motherfucker. Look, there was a woman, PH. Oh, she's a great. She's a child psychologist, and she said, "Oh," he goes, "Any local, any." So she does boxing, and she had a video of her hitting the bag. That was scary. She was
I saw
good,
that. Yeah.
and she turned around and goes, "I'm ready." He blocked her. Now
Yeah.
he's
What a
running
pussy.
around crying, "They're coming out to get me." Motherfucker, you called them out. You
You know,
called out liver. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
that's the thing that Trump fucks do all the time. They're trying to they either go on other people's platforms to try to co-opt exposure there, or they say crazy shit in hopes. And it's all about cloud. It's all about views and that sort of stuff. Even some normal creators do that kind of, and I find it very annoying. You
Yeah.
do something crazy and then you whine because people acted badly about it. What the fuck did you think? I mean, I know I wouldn't say these things anyway, but I know there's limits to what I should say. I'm
Right.
not going to speak, I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to tell the truth, but I'm not going to make some shit up just to stir people up. I mean, I
Right.
remember I told the story before. I was a producer of a call in talk show. And this call in talk show guy would sit in a meeting before the show. And he goes, "Okay, we're going to talk about abortion." Now, this is the late 70s. We're going to talk
Right.
about abortion. I said, "Okay." And he says, "Which side should we take?" He didn't have a side. He
No.
said, "Well, if I take the pro side, we might get more people calling in and ready to fight us, or I could take the con side and how many people will call in." It's people like this who was in the media and now
Right.
in the social media that are just trying to stir people up. That's all they're
Right.
fucking doing. And this is why we have what you said before, this doom and gloom. There's more
Right.
money in doom and gloom because people are going to flock to these fucking idiots while they tell you how your life is going to go to shit soon.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not a good situation. It's not.
No,
But I mean, I'm not going
no,
to sugarcoat it and go, everything's okay. No, it's not.
no.
We let these people in and they're exerting power. And that's one thing I do like what again, going to Rick Wilson or the Lincoln Project said, the problem with Democrats, they don't exert power. They exert
Right,
policy. And they don't exert power, and that's why they get in trouble.
right.
That's why they don't want to fight because they keep talking about policy. Um, and that's part of the problem we're going to have with the midterms. We may have to grab them and start shaking the tree because these guys are determined to fuck this up. We may
Yeah.
have to take it in our own hands and basically shake that tree hard. But that's from another day. But right now, I see that. I mean, they go all their way talking about martial law. Let's kind of talk about that real quick. Do you know how big this country is?
Yeah.
Honestly, people, how big is this country? Think on it. Do you really think they have enough troops to do that? What about local police? Yeah, local police won't last long when people get pissed.
Yeah.
And well, they'll get rid of habeas corpus. Then it's on. You
Yeah.
talk about carry, man. At that point, someone comes up, you're on the red. Bang! I got nothing to lose. I got nothing to
Yeah.
lose. See, when you keep talking about they're going to declare martial, go ahead, see what happens. See
Yeah.
how
It
many
won't
states are
work
going to
very
do
well.
it. I don't think Illinois is going to do it. Sure as hell, no, New York's not going to. Even Gavin Newsom in
Minnesota's
his
not.
fucked up day won't. The point being is we're too big and too
Yeah.
diverse. That's why they keep going after diversity because they know you can't. You can't. It's not going to work. And even here in the South, people don't like to be fucked with. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone talks. I know what you said and everything. People don't like to be fucked with. They really like to be left alone. I mean,
Let, let, let,
that's
let me
go
tell
ahead.
you what the
Sorry.
strategy is with habeas corpus, getting rid of habeas corpus and the whole martial law thing. This is part and parcel to what bullies do. They make
Hmm.
big threats. They make big threats, and they assume that you're going to back down because you're afraid of those big threats. So if you're terrified of martial law or getting rid of habeas corpus, you're just playing into their hands.
Exactly.
Uh, Will's exactly right. You think you can impose martial law? That's not quite as easy as what you'd think. Everybody has to be on board. And if
Right.
not everybody's on board, then you got a problem. And there are going to be, like you say, states throughout the country that have National Guard and stuff. They're gonna necessarily bend to Donald Trump's will,
And,
especially if they know it's going to fail and they're going to have to be responsible after the fact.
and there's already reports within the military cadres. People are torn,
Yeah.
especially officers, because the commander in chief, but unlawful orders, uniform, uniform code of military justice. They're not dumb. They don't
No.
graduate from West Point and Annapolis dumb. They know. They know
Well,
ethics.
and what you said before is something that's got to weigh heavily on their mind. Nothing in this country lasts forever. We do have bad
Yeah,
times, but as we've said, they crash and burn ultimately. And if these people side with a group that's going to crash and burn, then we have the Nuremberg trials. So there will be military people that stood with Donald Trump that will be uh,
pay a
uh,
price.
they're going to pay a price. They're going to go to court too, and they know this. So it's not an easy thing. Donald Trump said
And
to do it,
it's
so I'm going to do it. It's not easy.
and understand those won't be courts. They'll be tribunals, and
Yeah,
tribunals mean 3 or 4 people can basically. There's no jury.
right.
They're just going to decide on it. And the thing that is like, I see that we're in a dictatorship. No, we're not. We still can make choices. I mean, that we're not there, guys. Is it bad? Yes. And it's not. I know that a lot of people are suffering this. This whole immigration thing is not good. Cubans, you're about to find out. Oh, you're going to find out really quickly that you should have listened to us. But the point is, you can only push it so far. The problem with Stephen Miller and their ilk thinking we're going to get as many as we can, when you push that hard, people are going to push back.
Yeah,
They're going to push back because then you're going to run out. You're running out of soft targets. Go to Home Depot and 7-Eleven. Dude, really? No one will be there. They tried that in Fresno. I believe it was Fresno. Yeah, in Fresno or in the Central Valley. They did a raid like in gas stations, right? And then people vanished. They
yeah.
couldn't find anybody because we're not stupid and they're not stupid. And, and then they pick on you for little things like the Job Corps thing. That's horrid what they did. It's a bullshit move. It's a petty move. That money is nothing, the Job Corps, for people who are using that for trades. It's out both sides of your mouth. We need more plumbers and electricians. Yeah, that's what Job Corps does.
Yeah,
But you cut that because it services people of color. We know where
right.
you're coming from. We know who you are. And that's the thing. You can't hide it anymore. You don't want to hide it.
No,
And
they're
you
just
think
blatant about it.
and you think right now because Congress is a bunch of assholes that they don't care. It's not about the Congress, it's about people. And you're going to push the American people too far. They're not going to capitulate. They're not. And I'll tell you one thing, the people lying in wait and just and eating popcorn is the black community.
Yeah,
They are quiet. You know why? Because they saw like that one protest in Philadelphia. As soon as you had people of color in there, all the police flipped out. Who they
right,
arrest? Blacks. So they're
right.
just lying in wait. They're just waiting, not saying a word. And it's driving them nuts in the government situation because they want to blame it on them. They want this riots. They want what they saw with George Floyd. That's why they're trying to change the narrative about Derek Chauvin. Let's be honest, okay? Because you made a comment on it, and I haven't made a comment on it, so I'm gonna say this real quick. It
Sure.
doesn't fucking matter if you pardon him federally. He was convicted on state charges, basically murder.
Right. Exactly.
Nothing you can say about George Floyd will change the fact that we watched a man commit a murder on the street under the power of authority. Period. We saw it. You cannot change that. Period. Yeah, go ahead
When I
and
was
pardon your people with money, but that ain't going to change the fact that that man murdered a man on the street and we saw it. Period.
when I was talking about this, the thing I found most disconcerting was that I'd go to the comments on some of these guys doing these videos about him getting pardoned and Darren Chauvin should go free, and I mean, hell, Marjorie Taylor Greene is even pulling that shit. But but the thing about it is, when I go to the comments, they all say the same thing. Oh, he was a criminal. He did this. He was a bad guy, as if because he might or may not have been a bad guy, it's okay to kill somebody on the streets. Well,
You know what
if
his crime was? Passing
Uh,
a
a
conference
bad,
20. A
yeah.
bad, no, bad. Yeah, that considered execution, assholes? No,
Well, yeah.
sorry.
But let's just look at that. If being a convicted felon, being a bad guy, warrants you being killed in the street, what's that say about Donald Trump? He's a convicted felon. He's a
We know.
habitual criminal. Why can't the police just put a knee on his neck? It would take a lot less time for Donald Trump. That
Uh,
fucker would stroke out in a minute.
yeah, it's all 1984 shit. They try and change history. The Ashley Babbitt bullshit. Every time you bring up immigrants and all that, they go Lincoln Riley, which is bullshit. We know that. And it's all gaslighting. But the thing
No,
about it, they're running out of gas.
they
So,
are.
yeah, and the thing about like the big beautiful bill, you know how they're defending the Medicaid and Medicare cuts now, right?
I've heard a few
They're,
couple things.
yeah, well, the biggest what they're hanging on to right now, which is one of the reasons why I think they think they can still win in 2026. They're just going to say we're getting rid of the waste. You heard Joni Ernst.
Yeah, yeah.
We're getting rid of the waste. We're getting rid of people who shouldn't be on the rolls. And 13 million people. The system wasn't fucked like that. No,
No.
you're lying to us, and we know it because those people that are going to go off it are your constituents, and they're going to need it. John Thune today asked him about it. He's from South Dakota. Man's going to vote for it because he said Medicaid, the best Medicaid is having a job with benefits. Motherfucker, how many jobs have benefits?
Yeah, no shit.
It's again gaslighting. They're just saying we're not getting rid of it, we're just fixing it. You're not. You're taking the tires off this car and leaving it up on bricks and
If it
saying
if
it's going to run fine.
if John Thune said the best Medicaid is a job with benefits, this man clearly doesn't understand what's going on in this
No, they
country.
don't.
There are
They're
people looking for
disconnected.
jobs. There are plenty
Yeah,
of people with jobs that don't have benefits or not good benefits. They're trying to make this sound good. Hell, Mike Johnson said we're not cutting Medicaid or
they're
Medicare. That's just a blatant lie.
yeah, but they keep saying because tell a lie enough, it becomes the truth. That's
Yeah,
what they're trying to sell. And they keep selling that, and that's what they think. If we keep saying we're not cutting it, we're just fixing it, people will buy it. So come 2026, it'll be okay. It's not
yeah.
working. I don't think it's not working. It's not
No,
working
it's not. They're trying to
because
convince themselves and they're trying to convince their constituents that this is good. And when these people all get burned and have no medical care and no food, they're going to still try to continue to make
yeah,
them feel like they did the right thing. And this is what they've done for decades. And a lot of people have fallen for it. But when you take away people's livelihood, their income, or their medical care, and people start dying, I don't give a fuck who you are. You're not going to be able to convince them of anything. And do you think that I mean I don't think that bill's going to pass because it sounds like a lot of people on the Republican side are pushing back for one reason or
I
another.
mean, I mean, I don't see how you can vote for it. I
No.
mean, I don't see how. I mean, if they get enough and it squeaks through, it's a disaster. I
Yeah.
mean, I know Democrats are trying to fight it. Um, I know the good Democrats are trying to fight it. Um, Republicans, the problem is how much courage do they have? Is Lisa McCoskey going to vote for it or just still present?
How much
I
courage do
mean,
you need to do the right thing? The obvious
in
thing.
this world,
Yeah,
in
apparently
this
it's a
world,
lot.
for those people, it's a lot
Yeah.
because they've been holding on to their power for so long, and they're so concerned about power, people don't matter.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, people matter. And eventually it will catch up with you. You cannot
Well, it certainly
they can
matters on election day.
yeah, and that's the thing. They cannot continue like this. ICE cannot continue like this. It
No.
can't. Outrage after outrage after outrage. I mean, and then like the problem you'll have is people will capitulate.
Yeah.
Let's talk about real quick. Target capitulated and they're paying a price. and they still
Right.
won't change. They won't even acknowledge Pride Week, Pride Month. It's Pride Month, by the way.
All
Rainbow
fucking month.
Pride Month. Fuck all you MAGA if you don't like it. You know, but they're not acknowledging it. But they're those law firms that capitulated to Trump. A lot of the big companies have told them we don't want to do business with you anymore, and they're cutting their ties
Exactly.
from them. Companies are starting to find out it's not worth it tying your thing to Trump. Media hasn't figured it out yet. They still are thinking that Trump is still a ratings winner. He's not. It's
Yeah.
coming back to bite you in the ass. They know it. Paramount is only doing it because they want their merger, but that's going to bite them in the ass. It's this much foolishness, this much incompetency cannot be sustained.
Well, you know who else has fucked around and found out some are the law firms that were going to bend a knee to Donald
Mm-hmm.
Trump. And now these big customers, these big clients of these law firms said, we don't want a pussy. We want somebody
No.
who's going to fight. So people are leaving those law firms, taking their clients with them. And these big law firms that thought they were going to gain so much by siding with Donald Trump are losing millions of dollars because of them bending the knee to Donald Trump.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. If your job is to be what's the word I'm for to support your client, but your client, but you as the person you're supposed to support them has a different agenda, how can I trust you? I can't trust
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
You don't have my best interests at heart. I mean, that's the thing. This is why I said that it's time for everyone to get a pep talk.
Yeah.
Okay, do not listen. Let's be clear. Do not think it's good. It's not. But do not believe that it's over. Oh, hell no. It's not
No, it's
over.
not over.
Because in 6 months, they have basically pushed everything to the brink. What's going to happen? We're not going to break. They're going to break. They're already breaking now.
Yeah.
I mean, tariffs, the economy. We had another uh, reduction in the GDP by another 3%. That's a recession, people.
Yeah.
0.3%. We're going down. That's negative GDP. Can't blame it on Biden now. We're 6 months
No,
into
you
your
can't.
fucking administration.
He'll
Sorry,
try,
ain't
but he
working.
can't.
Can't do it. Um, you can't do it. And this bill, if it doesn't go out of the Senate, it's a disaster. If it comes out of the Senate and he signs it, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
It's going to be a disaster. You cannot spin it anywhere else. And they have till Labor Day to get this shit done.
Right.
And I don't know. The Senate worries me because you have a bunch of dumbass egos in there who don't really, who still think in words and ways I don't believe. We know the hardcore Republicans are going to vote for it and counts how much courage they have. But if it gets out of the Senate, there'll be a price when the economically when the deficit goes through the roof. There'll be a price when people can't get fed or get their medical care. There'll be a price. There will be prices to pay. There will be
We've
a
t-
reckoning, one way or the other.
we've t- we've talked about this before, and I've talked about it with other folks too. Some parts of me think there has to be a literal catastrophe before some people will finally start to push back. And when mean some people, I'm talking about the base, and I'm talking about the Republicans in Congress. They've stood with this guy far longer than I ever thought they would. I think it's foolish in the long run because the longer they stick with him, the harder it is to get the stink off of them when he finally crashes. But part of me thinks there needs to be a catastrophe before motherfuckers wake up. I hope
Yeah.
that's not the case. I hope they push back before then. But it's conceivable that that's what it's going to take.
I mean, the one thing we always talked about when I worked in a factory is that you want to be proactive with safety.
Yeah.
Even though you don't think it's going to happen, you have to be ready. But the sad thing about a lot of companies is that it has to happen Something
Yeah.
tragic or something costly has to happen for them to react to it. And I've been
Right.
in those situations. Shit happens.
Right.
Why? Because they didn't fix it. Why didn't you fix it? Well, it costs too much money. Well, look at the money now.
Yeah.
Look at what you got to
Exactly.
deal with now. All right. And the point we're having right now is the same thing. We're going, we have warned them from day one. It's coming up. And now it's going to come to roost. And one thing is going to happen. Either you're going to back away or you're just going to see what happens.
Right.
Okay, cool. If you see what happens, it happens. And then the consequences come. And that's what I'm saying. They do not have total control of your life. You have total control of
No,
your
they don't.
life.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
and that's
When people say to me, "We're already in a dictatorship. The world's the country's shit, and we'll never get out of it," and I get people saying that all the time, and it makes me angry because I think to myself, if that's what you really believe, why am I even talking to you? What's the point?
right,
You just come in here to try to make me believe what you believe and be sad about it, and then we can all curl up in the corner and fucking cry and poop our pants. Fuck that.
right.
That makes no sense. If the sky is falling and the world is over, and it's all being brought to us by our favorite Chicken Little, then what's the point? Why would we talk about it? Why would we even fight about it? The idea that it's just all over and nothing can be done, it's bullshit. I don't want to hear that shit from people.
Yeah. It's 6 months in. Not even
Yeah.
6 months in, as we discussed. And it's not, but it's like so much. It's hard. I get where people get because it's a lot. Oh my
Yeah.
God, every fucking day. But that's part of the plan. That's part of the plan to inundate you. But you can see the desperation. There's no there's no plan. It's just desperate moves. Yeah, you cut this, you cut that, you cut this. There'll be consequences to that. There will be consequences. People will
Significant
remember
consequences.
significant consequences. So that's the thing. I don't want to hear it's over because it fucking ain't over.
No, it's
We,
not.
I mean, November 5th will still be a horrible day where America showed its true coat. A good
Yeah.
amount of Americans. I'm not even talking about the base. I'm talking about the other side who are going to
Yeah.
pay a price too
Well,
eventually.
June 14th, that parade, there was a time when I thought, oh God, I don't want to see that. That's just fucking crazy. I'm at a point now, based on what Donald Trump has been doing over the last 6 months, I want to see that parade because I
It's
know
going to
he'll
be a
fuck it
joke.
up.
But here's the
I heard
sad.
that
Go
there's a
ahead.
rumor, there's a rumor that Donald Trump is overthinking this again, and he's afraid that there are going to be protests with people in chicken suits all over the parade route. Now that would be hilarious. Now I don't know if that was in the plans now, but it should be.
It
Now it
will
should
be.
be. Yeah.
Trust me. All these. There's a whole bunch of anti-king protests. Well, supposedly,
Yeah.
we don't want a king across the country. Trust me, there'll be chicken suits galore. Um, but the one thing, but it's sad. The sad thing about this is that we don't usually use the military like this. We don't celebrate the
No.
military like this. But on June 14th, and I read this, I saw this. Usually there's a solemn ceremony at the wall, the Vietnam Memorial,
Right.
for vets, for family, to honor those who died in Vietnam.
Right.
Because of this fucked up parade, that has to be moved to Virginia, and they're going to do it at a model of the wall. Have you seen the
Oh, for
wall?
fuck's sake. I've
Have
seen
you
the wall.
been? I've seen the
Yeah.
wall. I've seen mock-ups of the wall, but it's nothing. When you're at there, and I remember uh, when going there in November of 2001, which is eerie, at night with one of my coworkers who fought in the war, was looking for a friend. He wanted to find him on the wall, and to do so, there's a book, and you can look for the name, and it tells you what section of the wall the name's on. And we
Right.
found him in the dark with a flashlight, old phone, flip phone light. But it's that, and then the statue of the two soldiers by it.
Right.
And it's for someone and you and I who grew up during the Vietnam War, who remember the casualty counts every
Right.
day on the news. It's a reminder of those who gave their lives for something that maybe they shouldn't have, but we don't want to question that because that's what they did. And the ironic thing is, Trump is interfering with the ceremony to honor himself
Right.
for veterans of a war that his father paid to keep him out of.
Right. Exactly.
You fucking coward.
You know,
It's
well,
so
when we talk
sad,
about
that situation.
the Vietnam War, I've talked to Vietnam veterans. I knew some, um, and when they came home, people called them baby killers and spit on them and did all that stuff, and that was tragic. Uh, what people have to understand is the people that were fighting in the war were called to duty by the country, and they did what they were supposed to do. The fact that that war may have been pointless or stupid or whatever it was, that's not the fault of the people that fought in that war. That's the fault
Mhm.
of the government and what they did. So when I say Vietnam should have never been fought, that isn't meant to demean the people who fought in the
No.
war. They were doing what they were supposed to do, that they were required to do, and they did a good job with it. It's the government that put them in a position to do this. It was the government that caused us not to win that war. And some of these veterans were just as frustrated about that as we
Right.
were.
And then you can extrapolate on later what happened in Iraq,
Yeah.
Afghanistan, 20 years of that.
Yep.
I mean, those men. I mean, if in a real, in a good world, they wouldn't have been there, and they wouldn't have died or suffered or came back as they are. And that's the thing about this whole bullshit parade. You're not celebrating the 250th anniversary. The Army does not celebrate that. The Army was there to protect the America from foreign enemies and enemies.
Yeah.
Period. Not to be marched around by a dictator. I mean, swear to God, I'm surprised Trump hasn't gotten himself a uniform with those fake fucking medals like a lot of
But
dictators do. I
you
mean,
know, you know, one of the things I said about this parade, as much as I'm waiting to see him fuck it up somehow, I've also said when you take all this military personnel, all this military equipment, the president of the United States, and all these officials that are going to be there, that sounds like a big ass target. And what happened in Russia with Ukraine should be a red flag to us.
I know. And
With
we have,
enough preparation and enough incompetence on this side, something terrible could happen that day.
yeah, something terrible could happen. I mean, it's mind boggling that he's
It
going to
is.
do it. And the cost is ridiculous. And it's not even just the cost. They're talking about even with them putting tanks on trucks, the damage to the DC roads is going to be ridiculous. And the
Yeah.
federal government is promising to fix the roads for DC later. Yeah, yeah. I've heard that before from a Trump administrator, from Trump before.
Right.
He ain't getting shit fixed. And
Well,
eh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
we need to use this opportunity to embarrass him because, as I said, something will get fucked up, something will look
Yeah.
foolish. He'll say or do something that's ridiculous, and we need to capitalize on that moment and just embarrass the shit out of him at something he thought would be his crowning moment.
Yeah, it's not. I just American presidents don't do this.
No, there's no
American
reason to.
presidents do not do this. And the thing about it is like Trump, Washington left the office to prevent this shit. Um, he wanted them to know that you can change. He wanted them to know that it was about the people and not the power. The problem is it got perverted. Now you have someone who's all about power.
Right.
And it cannot, it just, Those leaders have always failed in history. They've never succeeded for a long period of time. There have always been short spats of these people
Yeah.
because they can't survive. They can't. They build a system that eats them. I mean, even look at Lenin, Stalin. That system ate itself. Took a while,
Yeah.
but they ate itself. And that's the thing. Going back to the theme of this podcast today is that don't buy into that it's over. It wasn't over in Germany, and
No.
it wasn't over in Italy. And even if there wasn't a war, it still would have ended badly. It could
Right.
not have survived. None of it is going to survive here because there's comparison to Germany, but we're not Germany. We're not Germany at 39 and 41. We're not. We are a different breed of people, and we don't like this. Some of us do because, well, face it, there's some people who are masochistic and they love it and they need to be told what to do. But the majority of
Well,
Americans just don't want to be fucked with. Simple as that.
no, you make a good point about Germany. Think about the depths that Germany was at. I mean, how could
Yes.
it get any worse than what happened with Germany? Yet here's Germany now flourishing best they can in spite of all they went through. So if Germany can go through what they went through, Italy went through what they went through, they will come out the other side. And as you've said, we're seeing the cracks in the Trumplefucks. They aren't succeeding anymore. They're becoming embarrassed. And because they're embarrassed, they're nervous now. So they're making poor choices and doing stupid shit. And that's what Will's talking about. When they get at this point where they're spiraling, that's where the mistakes happen, and that's why
Mhm.
we have an ultimate crash. I've said it before. I'm surprised it's been this long. I really am. I was wrong about that. I thought it would happen much quicker, but the crash is coming. It
Right.
is coming. And MAGA will fall apart. Donald Trump will find his demise, or he'll be made a pariah, or he'll go to jail. Because,
Right.
in spite of the immunity shit, Donald Trump's still breaking laws right now that don't necessarily fit under the immunity thing. So when he's done, if he is ambulatory and cognitively able to go to trial, he'll be in court again. There's no question about that.
Yeah, it's going to be, but it won't be a court. Like I said, it's going to be a tribunal in the end. Because, like I said, they're getting desperate, and desperate people do horrid things,
Yeah.
and they're going to pay a price for it. And that's what I'm saying. I'm just going to keep the faith right now because I cannot see.
That's all you can
I,
do.
I can't see these incompetent assholes coming up with a plan that's actually going to take over everything. Even the
No.
Heritage Foundation, the whole Project 2025, that cannot stand because it has no legs. It has no basis in any kind of reality. And also, to evangelical Christians out there, you didn't win. You didn't win. You lost. You lost more than anybody. And you will pay a bigger price than the rest of us.
When
And I'll
Donald
say that
Trump
straight up.
won, when Donald Trump won the election, they did not win because all they did is get the opportunity to expose how big of failures they ultimately are,
Yes.
how silly what they believe is, and now it will be exposed. They won't be able to sit, in the back rooms and stuff. Oh, if we could just do this, we could. They're getting a chance to throw it out there, and people, the vast majority of people in this country, do not like it.
I
So
mean, there's,
suck on that.
the hard thing is like there are states that are like Meyer, Texas, no,
Yeah.
Texas, Missouri, North Carolina. Those people, those Republicans there, wow. I mean, just
Well,
damn,
but
damn.
those states will suffer the same thing that the federal government does. Whether it be Florida or Texas or Arkansas or
Oh yeah,
Alabama or whatever.
waiting for
They're
Nebraska. Aren't they supposed to go bankrupt soon?
yeah. So these people can do what they want to do, but their states are going to suffer mightily. They're going to go bankrupt. They're going to have. fighting in the streets there because people losing medical care or money or whatever.
Yeah,
As long as you side with dumb fucks, you're going to lose, and that's
and
what's
that
going to
comes,
happen.
and then that comes back to the midterms again. There will be midterm elections, people.
Yes.
Two, Elon Musk is not going to cheat for Donald Trump. First of all, they had a falling out. We
Yeah,
saw that.
absolutely.
Also, he got his ass kicked in the White House. That, oh God, I wish I could get a picture. There's got to be a video somewhere of it. Um, but the point is, I don't think he's going to be in survival mode as it is.
Yeah.
Homeboy's in survival mode. All of a sudden, he's complaining about no one likes me. Yeah, motherfucker, no one liked you to begin with.
He may be
You
in
just made
survival
it
mode.
worse.
He may be in survival mode, but I'm going to tell you this, he's not going to survive. He's taking excessive amounts of drugs. He's emotionally broken in the first place, and
Right.
people hate him, and his companies are sinking. I don't know. There's nothing he could do to survive. He's done.
Right. And so, I mean, that's what you get for fucking around, thinking you can be some kind of savior. You fucked around and found out, and people
You
are
know,
not happy with you.
if
You're
I was
never
Elon
coming
Musk,
back.
right? If I was Elon Musk right now, I'd go in my couch cushions, pull out a couple $1 billion, go to some fucking island where nobody will ever hear or see from you again, and
Hmm.
try to survive on your own. Because
But he
in the
can't.
world at large,
Mm.
well, no, he can't because he's an egomaniac. But
Mm.
that's the one way he could survive.
He's
But he
he's
won't do
paid,
that.
and it's just sad because it's no, you blew it. And the thing about it is, the word is the saying is, again, thank you, Rick Wilson. Anything Trump touches dies.
Yeah,
Okay, well, guess what? You got in with Trump, you're fucked. And that
yeah,
goes for every one of those people who are supporting Trump wholeheartedly. You will pay a price. He is not loyal to you. And the United States, okay, we're going to suffer, but we ain't dying because there's
no,
too many of us. No, absolutely not. So, again, to those people who have been like, I don't care, I quit, fuck it, uh because they haven't won. They can't win. They're too dumb to win. Let's
they
all
are
say
too
it
dumb to
together.
win.
They're too dumb and incompetent to win. They can't figure out a plan. Their plans are stupid. They're
Yeah,
based on nothing and just the fear and loyalty of a few people. So if the big bill gets to the Senate, guess what? They're fucked. If it doesn't get through the Senate, they're fucked. It's simple
well,
as that.
Well, and to give you an idea how tenuous this situation is for MAGA and religious right, Donald Trump is not the healthiest guy. He does not look good. He does not sound good. He
God, you
doesn't
know,
sound cognitive. If you think Donald Trump's going to live beyond 2028, I'll take that fucking bet. If he lives beyond 2026, I'll take that bet.
yes,
People talk about impeaching him and doing, I don't know that you'll have to.
leave it.
This guy has got so much on his head, and you can see it when he posts stuff about
If,
Biden being a fucking robot.
yeah,
He's not long for this world, one way or
and
another.
Congress, and when they do win Congress back, and they will, I think the
Yeah.
Democrats will get out of their own way. Will force that if need be. I don't want to. Don't do articles of impeachment. It's stupid. Do
Yeah.
hearings.
Yeah.
Drag all of them out. Drag the ICE in, ICE director, drive in Christine Nome, drag in Pam Bondi, the hearings, pound them, make them put it out in the open. Can you do anything about it? As a Congress, you cannot fund them. You can make them force to fund them, but you can bring it out in the light.
Right.
And maybe at this time, you won't do anything legally, but it's in the light and you
Right.
can't
Right.
hide it. And that's the
Yeah.
thing.
But
You got to, again, to Democrats, stop thinking that you need to appeal to young white men. Fuck them. If they ain't with us, they're against us anyway. They've been that
yeah.
way. You cannot change that. What you need to do is, again, point out what they're doing to this country, what they're doing to your civil rights, what they're doing to your privacy. Oh, yeah, by the way, where's my money?
Yeah.
And if that's not the message coming from your Democratic candidate, and they're talking about policy and we have to look at both sides, that's not a candidate. That is a mega light.
Yeah. Yeah.
As simple as
Absolutely.
that. Because we
Absolutely.
need, because it's not over, but it's a long fight. And the fight is just waiting for them to start falling apart and taking advantage of that situation. And that's where you have to know that when you get the opening, when they drop their hands, is then when you hit them in the face.
Right.
And you got to remember that because right now, everything that's happening, and we keep saying it, is body blows. Why is Trump so offended by Taco? Because it bugs him. And it's a
Yeah.
body blow. Why does the court bother him? Because he's supposed to get total obedience. Why is Stephen Miller freaking out? I wanted millions of these brown people out. Why haven't you done it? What's going on? The economy. Why aren't the tariffs working? I don't get it. Your competency is coming back to roost. And you
Yeah.
just have to
Eventually.
take a deep breath and let them do themselves. Again, when your enemy is making mistakes on the battlefield, do not interrupt them. Let them
Absolutely.
finish up.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to wrap
So,
up the Rational Boomer podcast. Will, thanks for coming on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You got some great insights, and I know people love to hear from you. So I'm glad
cool.
we had the opportunity to come on. I'm gonna maybe try to do a live tomorrow. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But
Yeah, I try to see how. Yeah, lives can be interesting, especially in
well,
TikTok these days.
well,
TikTok these
it's
days.
interesting about the lives. TJ pointed something out to me. Um, And some other creators have said that, anybody on the left is starting to get throttled a little bit. And I think I kind of noticed that. I've never really paid much attention to it because I don't go by views and followers so much. But I will say this: in the last TikTok live I did, the amount of people in the room was about a half as much as it was
Right.
normally.
Well,
So that
it's
I
weird.
don't know.
People are saying that, but I had views. Maybe if I was lucky, I get a video that's maybe 200 views,
Yeah.
and I'm getting views up to 1,500 views now.
Wow.
And I'm not changed my style. I haven't done anything. It's still the same. I don't know if they're throttling. I just think that it's just I'm not worried about it. Don't give a fuck.
Well, well,
Honestly,
I know
I
they
mean,
do.
I ain't making
I
money,
don't
so who
really
gives a
care.
fuck? You
Yeah, it
know,
doesn't really matter. It
and
doesn't
a
really
lot of the
matter to me.
creators are complaining about it. Have been making money. Well, guess what, guys? They are trying to protect themselves right now, and they're going to do that. So
Right.
deal with it.
I mean, let's be honest. They could shut down TikTok in a month,
Hmm.
but Donald Trump is going to save them. He has friends that are big financiers of TikTok. Wouldn't be surprising at all if TikTok becomes kind of a right wing arm ultimately. And unfortunately, while I love TikTok and with the followers I have, I want to be there for them when they turn on their phone. But you and I are also on YouTube and
Right.
Substack and Blue Sky and
Right.
whatever. And since we're here at that point, why don't you tell folks where they can find you on those
Yeah.
other places, including TikTok?
Again, TikTok Binder 38 US, YouTube Binder 38 US on YouTube. Um, I mean, that's big ones. Substack the same. Sometimes Blue Sky. I think I have to start plowing those fields. I guess I haven't done that in a while. They're so limited though. Substack and all
Yeah.
that. What you can do. YouTube is hit and miss. I mean, right now 87 followers, but it is what it is. I don't
Well,
care. I just
YouTube,
dropped stuff in
you,
there. Yeah.
YouTube, you can gain 1,000 followers in a day on TikTok
Mm,
in certain circumstances. YouTube is slow and plodding, but once you
right.
get to a point, I I get them coming in saying you got 1,500 followers in the last 28 days, and now I look at it, it's 158. But it doesn't matter.
Right.
I've got enough followers where I feel it's important to do what I do, regardless of it, whether it's 1,000 or 100,000
Yeah.
people. It
I mean,
doesn't matter.
I just dropped the videos that I do on TikTok, and the problem with TikTok compared to YouTube and TikTok, TikTok does have a more free form.
Yeah,
YouTube is not that way. That's the benefit why everyone's like TikTok, is that if there's a free form to it. And honestly, again, like I said before, I didn't go on there to do this political bullshit. I mean, I just
yeah,
got sucked into it. I did in there because I like cat videos and one creator who does her
yeah.
stuff. And I kind of follow, and then I got sucked in. And I mean, because I have found that even with 4,300 people following me, like you find out, there are a lot of people that if you say something, they go, "Thank you." And if
Yeah.
you get one thank you, you go, "Okay, I did good.
I did
My job
something.
is
I
done."
did something.
And that's
I got
important, I think, enough until they tell us to shut the fuck up. And at that
I,
point, we probably won't anyway.
you
So,
you I have to tell people my guilty pleasure. People think that I only watch political stuff on social
mm,
media. And there's the one thing that I binge more than anything on social media, and that's babies with dogs. There's nothing greater than seeing this little baby hugging this big Great Dane around the neck and the Great
mm.
Dane going, I love this kid.
Or I like you get young children with cats, and
Yeah,
cats are weird when it comes to kids because they get devoted,
yeah,
and that's like I should know. I mean, my daughter had a cat that passed away, and that broke her heart. But he was devoted to her to the
yeah.
bitter end. I mean, those are that's the one thing I like about that. And there's some funny people on TikTok. There's some
Absolutely,
satire
absolutely.
hilarious, or they point out stuff, and that's the benefit. That's the beauty of that you don't see on YouTube. That unfortunately is getting ruined
Yeah,
by some of the political shit. I mean,
yeah,
I mean the far. That's the problem with the MAGA is that they don't want to leave it alone. They want to fuck with everything else.
yeah,
Stay in your
exactly.
corner, do your thing. I don't care. But when you come around fucking with everything else is a problem. And
Yeah.
that's the worst thing about it. But the best thing about what we do, what it is, it's still to an extent our First Amendment rights.
Well, it
We
is.
do this
Yeah.
every day to extend our First Amendment rights within reason. Because we do know if you have free speech, we don't have freer consequences. And if we say something, we're going to pay a price. We know that. Some
Well,
people
and there and
don't.
there are people who say to me every day, I agree with what you said. You're thinking exactly what I'm thinking. I wish I could say what you say. And so there are a lot of people out there that don't have the luxury of being able to come out on the internet and say what they want to say, or maybe don't have the aptitude or the confidence for it. So I feel a responsibility to be a voice for those people
Yeah.
that are of a like mind that don't have the opportunity to
I,
say it
I mean,
because
you
I don't
did
give a fuck.
radio. You did radio. I
Yeah,
mean, I mean, I did a lot of speech stuff in high school, and then later on, I never could. I mean, union meetings, shit, I was there. The point is that people don't scare me, and if you
yeah.
don't like it, tough. And that's the point. My shtick is simple. This is my opinion. If you don't like it, that's nice. If you want to make fun of my weight, been there, done that, whatever. But it is what it is.
Yeah,
And
it absolutely is.
if it benefits someone, then I've won to an extent.
Yeah,
And in the end, we'll be on the right side of history. And I
we'll be on the
think
right
that's
side of
more
history.
important than anything else. So all those
And when our
other
grand,
MAGA fucks who sit around threatening people or challenging them to fights, we laugh at you because we know we win
well,
in the end.
well, and with the one reason too, I worry about my kids and my grandkids, and then years from now when I'm on my deathbed and my granddaughter Junie or my grandson August say, "That was a fucked up time. What did you do, Grandpa?" I don't know that I changed the world, but at least I tried to do something. At least I
And it comes
tried.
and it comes down to the greatest line in a play or something that will always make me cry when it's the last part of Hamilton. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story?
Right. Right.
And in the
Exactly.
end, what story do they tell about you? And I sure
Yeah,
as hell
I
don't want the story told about like they tell about Donald Trump. That I don't want in my life in the end.
I think I think about my brand new grandson. He's 3 days old,
Oh, congrats.
and he's adorable. He's adorable and all that stuff. But I'm thinking 30 years from now, when I'm gone, 30 years from
Mhm.
now when I'm gone, uh, and my grandson is 30 years old, and somebody says, "Did you see all this shit archived on the fucking internet about your grandfather? That motherfucker was crazy."
and and then your son's going, "Oh, you have no idea.
You have no
You
idea.
have
No,
no idea."
he he was fucking nuts. He didn't abuse us. He wasn't mean to us. He bought us everything we wanted. That motherfucker was crazy. He
Yep.
was goofy. I only
But
say my
yeah,
grandson because my granddaughter's already telling me I'm goofy.
there you go.
She's five.
But
She's five.
yeah, again, everyone just relax. This is. I got a feeling before this year's out, it's going to be in different world. You watch
It
to the
is.
better.
And it does no good to worry about things that you have no control over. All you can do is what you can do and do it to the
Mhm.
best of your ability and keep pushing forward. We will get out of this eventually. Don't worry. Don't
Eventually.
have the whole world on your shoulders because it doesn't do any good. You're not going to fix
And understand in
the USA.
a lot of states, gummies are legal. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much. For those of you listening, thank you for taking the time to listen. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.